దూర విద్యా విధానంలో డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ దేశంలోనే మొట్టమొదటి సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం. దాదాపు 2.5 దశాబ్దాలుగా దూర విద్యా విధానం ద్వారా కంప్యూటర్ కోర్సును అనుసంధానం చేస్తూ BA, BCom, BSc డిగ్రీ కోర్సులను అందిస్తోంది. పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ స్థాయి, డిగ్రీ, డిప్లొమా స్థాయి కోర్సులను ఔత్సాహికులైన విద్యార్థులకు అందిస్తోంది. డెవలప్మెంట్ స్టడీస్లో సెంటర్ ఫర్ ఎకనామిక్స్ అండ్ సోషల్ స్టడీస్ ద్వారా MPhil, PhDతో పాటు విశ్వవిద్యాలయమే స్వయంగా దూర విద్యా విధాన అంశంపైన PhD వంటి పరిశోధన కోర్సులు ప్రవేశపెట్టింది. రాష్ట్ర వ్యాప్తంగా సుమారు 4.5 లక్షల మంది విద్యార్థులు ఈ విశ్వవిద్యాలయం నుంచి ఉన్నత విద్యావకాశాలు పొందుతున్నారు. డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం స్థానికంగా స్వయం బోధనా పద్ధతిలో ముద్రణ రూపంలో రూపొందించిన కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అందిస్తోంది. కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అధ్యయనానికి సహకరించే విధంగా రేడియో, టెలివిజన్ పాఠ్యాంశాల ఆధారంగా కార్యక్రమాలు ప్రసారం చేస్తోంది. అధ్యయన కేంద్రాల ద్వారా ఏర్పాటు చేసే సలహా సంసర్గ తరగతులు, సైన్స్ ప్రాక్టికల్ సౌకర్యాలు విద్యార్థులకు స్వయం అధ్యయనానికి ఒక చక్కటి అవకాశం. ఇవి విద్యార్థి సమీపంలో ఉండే అధ్యయన కేంద్రం నుంచే పొందొచ్చు.
Dear students, I welcome you all for today's teleconference in the subject botany. First, let me introduce myself. I am Padma, working as academic consultant in the Department of Botany, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. Today we assemble here to discuss on the topic genetically modified crops and food security. This topic has been tailored to the needs of MSc second year students of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. But as you all know, this topic is a topic of interest for everyone. Genetically modified crops are generated in the laboratory by altering the genetic makeup. This is usually done by adding one or more genes to the plant's genome by using genetic engineering or recombinant DNA technology. Through conventional methods also, we can achieve the desired characters in plants. But it's very time consuming and are often not very accurate. But by genetic engineering we can achieve this. And also genetic transfer, that is transference of genes between the unrelated species is highly impossible through biological means, but it can be done through genetic engineering. Many countries all around the world, they are going for this GM technology. So today, two eminent personalities in the field are invited for today's discussion. Dr. Sudha Rani, hello, lecturer, Sarojini Naidu Vanita Mahavidyalaya, Nampalli, Hyderabad. She has more than 24 years of teaching experience. And she is also teaching in Dr. BRAOU since the inception of MSc course, that is from 2008 onwards. She has 10 research publications to her credit, and she has co-authored a book titled Research Advances in Bitter God. And she was a member of editorial board for International Journal of Agriculture, Environment and Biotechnology. Dr. V. Padmavati, lecturer, Sarojini Naidu Vanita Mahavidyalaya. She has done her specialization in cytogenetics and she has more than 19 years of teaching experience. She has 18 research publications to her credit and she was managing editor of International Journal of Agriculture, Environment and Biotechnology, and she is the executive editor one of the executive editor of the International Journal of Bioresources and Stress Management. Now, let us start our discussion. The total time allotted for today's program is 1 hour. The first 40 minutes allotted for discussion and last 20 minutes allotted for interaction with you all. So, if you have any doubts, clarifications, you don't hesitate to call us on these numbers 040 270 431 040 2703 1432 040 2703 1433. I'll repeat 040 2703 1431 040 2703 1432 040 2703 1433. These GM foods have made a big splash in the news recently. With the introduction of GM crops 3 decades ago has heralded the start of a second green revolution. Today, 2/3 of the food available in the supermarkets has been genetically engineered. We are eating the foods created in the laboratories. This is completely a new phenomenon. Scientists claim that genetically modified foods, they are nutritionally superior to the naturally occurring crops, and they are more resistant to diseases and pests, and more importantly, they are very good in attaining sustainability in food production and an answer for the world hunger. But a lot of controversy is going on regarding the use of GM crops all over the world. The dispute involves many environmental groups, consumers, government regulators, non-governmental organizations, scientists and farmers. The key areas of a dispute involves whether the GM food should be labeled, what are the impact of these foods on the health of human beings and also on the environment, and also what is the impact of GM foods on the farmers and the role of these GM foods in addressing the world hunger. So, in spite of all these things, many countries in the world, they are going for GM technology, and also many GM crops. They fulfill the promise, but the success story has been mired in controversy. Because many questioning their safety, their profitability and their green credentials. So, today we are going to discuss what are GM crops, how they are produced, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of the GM crops, and the controversies regarding the use of GM crops. So, let us start our discussion. Dr. Sudharani will explain actually what are genetically modified crops.
Gene transfer through natural hybridization have occurred throughout the course of plant evolution. That is a natural phenomenon. The hybridization occurs between the species of the same plant, brought new characters in the progeny that was taken up by the plant breeders earlier to take the parental of desired characters, and they are able to achieve high yielding varieties, disease resistant varieties, other tolerance whatever they want to introduce in the high yielding varieties more often. They are able to succeed also. That was the story of the first green revolution. So, that means the plants which are able to hybridize of the same species, that means the natural genes exist in those plants are able to transfer. That is the actual traditional method, and to some extent scientists, particularly agricultural scientists, also try to use certain mutagens to induce mutations which are sudden changes, heritable changes like the desired changes when they are able to get in the progeny, that was released as the new varieties, that was the conventional plant breeding. But there are certain lapses in the conventional plant breeding, because this plant breeding can apply only between the plants of the same species. That means, there is a incompatibility barrier between the plants. So, the natural genes which are there in the plants are only able to transfer, as the GM foods are genetically modified foods, as we are talking now. Here the new technology which is involving the gene transfer between unrelated plants, and also sometimes between the plants and animals also. So, define this gene transfer or GM food is a directed desirable gene transfer from one organism to the other, subsequent stable integration and the expression of the foreign gene into the genome is referred to genetic transformation. The transferred genes are called transgenes, and the plants in total which are carrying these transgenes are called transgenic plants.
Okay. So, we get desired characters through traditional breeding methods also. Then what made us to go for this GM technology?
Traditional breeding methods are not able to get the desired characters straight away, and it needs lot of time and also the field work and other things. Even then the resulting characters are not up to the mark, and as there is a lot of need for the food production and also quality improvement, disease resistant development and other things, the point of transgenic plant development was taken particularly to improve the quality traits of the plants, then to induce tolerance levels, particularly the disease tolerance levels, and then insect tolerance, that is insect susceptibility to reduce that feature, and herbicide tolerance. This is a very new thing, like the weed plants may sometimes overgrow the actual crop. So, the plant, when the plants were introduced, this herbicide gene are able to survive when the herbicide is sprayed. So, there is no necessity of weeding and other things, which reduces the agricultural cost. Like that, even antibiotic, a new thing is antibiotic stress tolerance and other ability, which are new things. And in the recent times, even the vaccines are also can be introduced through the GM foods. That is the advantages through which of the GM food is encouraging to take up the transgenic plants, particularly in all the developing countries.
In addition to what Sudharani has said, lack of dependency on weather and also the assurance of bumper crops are the two main reasons for going for GM technology.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate further?
Apart from what Sudha has highlighted, the demand for food is growing as the population is growing. The estimates state that by 2050, the population is going to reach up to 9.3 billion from the present state. So, this is going to actually demand, the demand for the food is going to increase with this, and in India the population is going to reach up to 1.5 billion by 2050. And as the population is increasing, the arable land area is also going to be depleted, and the resources like the water and the fertilizers and the labor are also becoming scarce and costly. About 852 million people in the developing countries seem to suffer from malnutrition. 1.4 billion women, which comes up to 22% of the world population, and about 55% of the developing countries suffer from iron deficiency anemia, and about 140 million children seem to suffer from vitamin A deficiency. More than 30% of our crop yields are lost because of biotic factors.
Okay.
All these have resulted or caused the scientists to go in for a technology which is precise and accurate to acquire the required genes, incorporate the required genes into the commercial and field crops or cereals and the commercial crops.
Okay. So the genetic transference between unrelated species is does not occur through conventional methods, but by genetic engineering we can overcome this barrier.
Yeah.
Now Dr. Padmavati will explain us the techniques of genetic engineering.
As I have previously mentioned, it's a highly challenging and precise technique. It's a skillful scientific technique which involves identification, isolation of the required desired gene, incorporation, insertion, integration and expression in the desired plant. And the insertion of the desired gene can be done by two ways, using through a medium, a vector mediated transfer, or a vectorless transfer of the DNA directly. So the vector mediated transfer involves the scientific, an organism that has been identified having the desired characters is first identified, and the specific gene that produces these characteristics is located and cut out of the plant's DNA. The DNA is spliced, the segment that is required with the required trait is spliced or cut using the restriction enzymes. Each plant has specific restriction enzymes. Now the required gene not only carries the required the traits which we desire, but it's also combined along with it. Some promoter genes are also added to this gene, the desired gene, which help in the expression, the transcription and expression of these genes in the host plant. Along with these promoter genes and the desired genes, the target genes, other genes like the marker genes are also added to help identify the transgenic cells or the cell groups. So to get the gene into the cells of the plant being modified, the genes need to be attached to a carrier, as I told you, and a piece of the bacterial DNA, a bacterial DNA called the plasmid is used as a carrier to insert it into the host cell. So to carry it into the host cell, and as I told you, the promoter genes help as a switch, which include, which can which are combined with a gene and carrier, they carry on into the host genome. This helps make sure that the gene works properly when it is put into the plant being modified. Only a small number of cells, not all cells get transferred, like the cells which have been carried, the plasmid which carries the desired gene, they might, the part of the gene might or might not get inserted into the genome. So to test for the whether the proper insertion into the host genome has occurred, some screening methods like how I have mentioned, marker genes are added and this gets inserted. So the gene into the vector with a selectable antibiotic resistance or sometimes coloring agent. So gene which gives a color are also used as marker genes, not only antibiotic but some genes which give fluorescence under UV radiations are also used as marker genes. So once this insertion or integration with the plasmid has happened, this plasmid is reinserted into the bacterium and it is allowed to multiply. So many copies of this genome are produced. So these are then cultured. So this transfer these are now infected to the host plant. The bacterial cells are now infected to the host plants. These gene packages are now enter into the host plant, where the integration of the the desired gene happens with the host plant. These are later cultured on a nutrient medium. These cells, the transformed cells, are later cultured on a nutrient medium, where the transformed cells can be screened using the marker genes.
Okay.
And this is the vector mediated transfer. And the other technique that we have is the direct transfer or vectorless transfer, where the direct transfer can be physical or chemical. The physical methods usually involve the bombardment of through electroporation. There are different methods in this again. It might be through electroporation or particle gun method, where high pressure is used. Electroporation, where high energy electric shocks are given to the cell, so the DNA gets to penetrate into the cell. So first it gets to penetrate into the cell before it gets incorporated into the host genome. And after electroporation and particle gun method, this is the slide which I am showing is the particle gun method, where the gold particles, either tungsten or gold particles are used, which are about 10 to 30 micron size, which are integrated with the coated with the DNA vectors. These are used as the DNA vectors, the gold and tungsten particles. These are now loaded onto a Teflon bullet, which is inserted into the gun, and which is shot onto the target cells. Usually the chloroplasts and the cells, meristematic cells, are used for this kind of a transfer. So these are the different techniques, and some chemicals also can PEG and other chemicals are used to transfer the gene. This again, the chemicals are used for the chloroplast to disintegrate the cell and chloroplast DNAs.
Well, what are the achievements and how prevalent are GM crops, and what plants are involved in this through GM technology? Dr. Sudha Rani will elaborate this.
There are some important commercial crops already in the market, which are GM foods, identified as GM foods, but there are top 10 genetically modified foods like corn, soya, then papaya, rice. We heard about golden rice, like rapeseed and potatoes, tomatoes, and different dairy products also, and some of the pulses. These are already established, and even the cotton, which is much of the cotton cultivated throughout world right now. Almost 70% of the cotton cultivation is of GM crops only. So there are many crops already established, and the global area wise, the transgenic crops as reached. There is a continuous growth and a rapid growth. Actually, in the recent times, a rapid growth we can see from 96 onwards. Earlier it was just 1.7 quintals to now it is the area under the GM foods is 81 million hectares. So there is a rapid increase, and this is up to 2004 it is almost reached 1 billion hectares. I think the latest statistics, and the important countries which are contributing to this GM crops cultivation is majorly, of course, USA, and next is Argentina and Canada, and followed by some countries like Brazil, Paraguay, and South Africa and other countries. But recently China and India also joined in this list, particularly with the cotton cultivation. India, being the third largest exporter of cotton, is substantially is able to use this technology, particularly with cotton, and other countries like the European countries also, some of the countries, not all the European countries, some of the European countries are also taken up, particularly with potatoes, soya bean and rapeseed. The global area percentage of adaptation of dominant transgenic crops, as I told, the soya bean is the major one, which the biotechnology, the GM food is the cultivation wise occupies 56%. Next comes the corn with 28%, and cotton again with 19, and canola oil with 14%. So, total millions of hectares as with biotechnology like the GM foods is with 29% total area. So, the global research activity on transgenic crops, actually there are few leading countries as we already mentioned, but in total there are 63 countries which are at least working on GM crops, on particularly 57 crops are mainly concerned with. So, if you just see the field crops are mainly the soya bean and potato and tomato, and these are the field crops they have taken. Like in total there are 16 crops which are tried in a different 55 countries approximately. Then coming to vegetable crops, interestingly tomato was the first crop released as a GM food in 1994. So, this is actually in China and USA they are under cultivation, and like the different kinds of vegetables, not only the only tomato and other things, the cabbage, cauliflower, carrot and other things are also tried. So, totally 16 crops in 15 countries are under trial. Then coming to the fruits, here mainly the papaya is the one, and in total again all the different kinds of fruits naturally we try, like 17 crops are tried in 29 countries. Then the other crops, particularly the tobacco being a very commercial crop. So, the other crops like the commercial crops, particularly the cocoa, coffee and oil palms and other things were tried in around 29 countries. So, this is the global scenario of the GM foods which are already released or which are under field trials.
Field trials.
Field trials.
Dr. Padmavati will now explain the status of GM crops in India.
India too has recently taken up the cultivation of the BT GM crops, and specifically in higher amounts BT cotton has been taken up in larger areas. And these crops, India, apart from the BT cotton, there are other crops also which are being cultivated in India, the transgenic GM crops. These are specifically being cultivated for the insect resistant characters that have been incorporated in the different crops that are given here, and all the crops that are given in bold are under field trials, yet to be released as commercial cultivation crops. And the different crops that are there, they are being cultivated for disease resistance, herbicide tolerance, stress tolerance, edible vaccines which are being introduced into the muskmelon and tomato, and the fruit ripening. And tomato is the first such crop which has been, first GMO crop that has been released into the market, and it is called the flavor saver, and this has a delayed ripening gene which helps the farmer to harvest the crop not in an unripe state, but in a ripe state when it is fully ripe. And since it has the genes for the production of ethylene are being suppressed, the fruit is also able to sustain the transport damages, and the shelf life of the fruit is also better, and it in the supermarkets that the fruit has been, I mean the
Preserved.
tomato,
Is sold,
vegetable has been sold. Okay, so that and apart from the fruit ripening, I mean this fruit ripening character has also been incorporated into banana, potato and tomato,
Okay.
which are now in the market, and all these especially in the US have been tested and they are now being released into the market. The nutrition enhancement aspect, genes are also being introduced into mustard and potato. Potato for the albumin and mustard for the vitamin A characters. So this is the scenario in India.
Can you highlight the benefits of GM crops?
Okay, there are several benefits as we have already discussed. There is antibiotic, abiotic stress. There is the different benefits are insect and pesticide resistance characters are also being incorporated. Apart from this, nutritional enhancement has also been taken up, and there is nutritional enhancement in potato has been done, and which was released into the market by the US government. But then this potato with the
Amaranthus.
the nutrition this is an albumin gene which has been incorporated into the potato in the US market. But this albumin gene has been isolated, taken from the Brazil nut, and this Brazil nut seem to have allergenic effects on the respiratory system of the people. Some who are susceptible to the allergy, sensitive to allergies. So this, though it was introduced into the market, it was taken back by the USDA, and they have now tried with a non-allergenic seed albumin which was isolated from Amaranthus species. Apart from this, the rice, which is a staple food for Indians, which has been, we have the habit of dehulling the grain. So in this process, and further polished. So the beta carotene that is present on the surface layers is getting removed because of this processing. So this beta carotene, which causes deficiencies in the consumers. So this deficiency can be combated by introduction of the beta carotene into the rice endosperm. So this has been done, and this is released as golden rice in the market. And the beta carotene levels are also being enhanced in the Indian mustard. And as we are all familiar, the BT crops are, cotton is the main BT crop. Though cotton is the first crop, the BT gene has been introduced into other crop plants also. And brinjal is one such vegetable. Brinjal, tomato,
government stopped
chickpea, pigeon pea, groundnut.
All the pulses also there.
Yeah, we know cotton is also already there, and they are trying on the pulses too. So attempts are now being developed to incorporate the drought resistant crops, and disease resistant crops like in tomato, resistance to tobacco mosaic virus, which is actually the host is the tobacco. Though it is the host is tobacco, tomato is also being affected by TMV. And salt tolerance in tomato has been established. They are being grown in the salt rich areas. So tomatoes, commercial tomatoes which are salt resistant are also being released into the market. And work is also in progress to develop fruits such as tomato, banana and muskmelon as edible vaccines, as Sudha mentioned earlier. And several other crops are all at different stages of experimentations and regulatory approvals.
So would GM food meet the food security challenge? What's your opinion?
Rapid increase in the production can be achieved because, as we discussed so far, because of the technology which we are using here, gives immediate results and also the desired result not taking the chance and trying and other things. Here immediately we know what we are going to get in the crop. So and that means the production can be enhanced, and the quality of the grains or the nutritional other aspects we are able to achieve through this methods. So food security in a way, because the land mass is not going to increase because along with the increasing population. So within the given
Land is
area
diminishing,
and the resources also, within the resources and other things, we have to enhance the production along with the quality and other things, and maybe new requirements also may come up. So in a way we can say, not because it is not yet established technology, and there are a lot of debate is going on about the GM foods, because it is involved the gene transfer and between non-related plants and animals. So there are definitely there is a chance to food security through GM foods.
Yeah. So the food prices, what we are facing today is nothing but the hunger in the times of plenty.
Yes.
This is a peculiar situation.
Yeah.
Could you explain the reasons for this situation in India?
The packaging and post-harvest.
Adequate.
Agricultural background, even though we are very well know that India is still an economic country, and majority of the population still depends on the agriculture, but there are lot of lapses are there when compared to the developing countries, particularly in the cultivation practices, not having much information about the cultivars and where they can be cultivated in a better way. That means the agronomic practices we are not able to provide to the farmers, and the post harvesting technologies also, like when to harvest and how to store, these we are not able to again provide to the farmers. So because of the post harvesting technology lapses, finally even once the products are reached to the warehouses where we are storing the grains and other things, we are not able to distribute these grains to the public in a better way. Not
the public distribution
public
system
distribution system can be improved a lot. So because of all these reasons and some natural calamities and the other things, we are not able to provide whatever is available. Also, as you told, the starvation, when the situation with plenty of
food is available.
Yes.
Actually, India, we are producing 667 tons of food, which is actually 2.5 times more than the government's benchmark.
Yes.
But in spite of all this, we are facing the food scarcity because of all these reasons which you have mentioned. Okay. Can you explain the risks associated with GM crops, Padmavati?
Yeah, actually GM food cannot actually give us, we cannot say GM food gives us the solution for, ultimate solution for food security. There are several risks. First thing, basically, as we say, though it is precise and accurate, it does have some challenges.
Yeah.
Though we say conventional system of or some conventional method of cultivation practices are lengthy to introduce the desired characters. The GMO techniques are neither very short.
Yeah.
They too take several years, about 10 years to get one transgenic plant into the market.
Okay.
And the expenses for
very
making
high.
up a
Very
transgenic
high.
plant
It's very
are
high.
pretty
Very high.
high. So to apart from all these, there are several health hazards, environmental effects that we have to consider, and also the biodiversity is going to be badly affected
Yeah.
because of
And
this.
that's the main
We are
thing.
going to lose the natural
Native
resource.
varieties,
The native and the wild varieties are going to be
Affected
to the
by-
and probably become extinct. They might be under danger of extinction, and The environmental effects are many. The major issues with the transgenic crops are biosafety related. The potential of the cry plants, these are crystal proteins which are toxic to the certain lepidopteran insects. So, this is what the crystal proteins are introduced. The Bt bacterium, it is Bacillus thuringiensis. This bacterium has crystal proteins which are toxic to the insects, the bollworm insects. So, these proteins which are they might also have toxicity on the other bioorganisms also, apart from the target insect, and it might cause allergenicity, as we have seen in the example of potato, where the genes from the Brazil nut have been incorporated into potato. Similar such allergenicity cases might also arise
in future,
which have to be which are yet to be reported. The effect on the non-target beneficial organisms, including the biological control agents, is also cannot be ruled out. So, the non-target beneficial organisms, like we are using the Bt for a particular species of insects, Heliocarpa species, but these are the major pests on Bt cotton, I mean on cotton, but there are other secondary pests which might become major because of the major I mean they replace the major pests. So, this will result in the super weeds also, I mean I am coming to that. The Bt or the GMO crops, the pollen might cross fertilize with the other weeds which are related to it, like for example sunflower and rice were long time back initially weeds. So, they were modified to the
plants.
commercial crops with the desirable traits, because it had a little amount of oil. They tried to increase the oil content in sunflower and the protein for in the rice. So, this is how the, I mean it's carbohydrate in the
evolution of plants.
This is how the evolution of crop plants have occurred. The wild plants are basically weeds. So, these weeds have certain genetic relation with the weeds that grow along with the crop plants. So, when these pollen fertilize the weed pollen, there is a chance of development of super weeds which become resistant to this gene. Okay. So, this is again another potential risk, and the fate of the protein in the soil. Sudha will highlight on this.
Some of the GM foods, as it was studied, like they are releasing certain substances like the proteins and other metabolic products in the rhizosphere, have reduced the microflora, and as a continuous cultivation, particularly the Bt cotton in the Indian context, as the reports are not allowing the growth of any other crop for some time. So, that is the whatever the metabolic substances which leached out in the rhizosphere may cause a deterioration of the soil. As such, we already told that we are having limited land, and we have to cultivate in that. So, the existing fields itself are becoming non-cultivable. It will become a much more problematic than getting the profits out of it.
So, soil fertility is also going to be affected, and soil erosion cannot be controlled.
That was reported in Indian context itself.
It's been reported, and as I told you, the pest resistance is also, the secondary pests are going to become the major pests, and again you will have to combat those, and you have to create another transgenic group of plants for this.
It's costly affair also.
It's a very expensive affair, and here I would like to mention in this context the transgenics that we are producing and the scientists are producing, they are not just producing it for a single character. So multiple characters can also be incorporated into a single plant for commercial release, like disease resistance, pest resistant genes, and also drought resistant genes, along with the nutrient genes
Enhancing
can be
genes,
enhanced. So this type of transgenics are called stacked transgenics or pyramidal gene
More
transfer.
than one gene
Yes.
transfer.
So these are pyramidal transgenics or
Okay.
stacked transgenics.
So, in addition to the various benefits and the risks associated with the GM crops, as Dr.
have
Sudha and Padma have explained, is there any regulatory systems to address all these issues?
Yeah, the potential risks have made definitely need regulatory bodies. As this system has started in the US, the US has one regulatory body, the FDA,
Okay.
and in India we do have GEAC, the genetic engineering, genetically
Approval.
engineered
approval committee.
committee, which comes under the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. Apart from this, there is a protocol Cartagena protocol, which insists on the countries to test the transgenic plants for several generations before released into the commercial. So field trials for several generations on the health and the environment need to be tested.
Okay.
So the Cartagena protocol insists upon this, and in India the DBT has started a website. It has a database on all the research
GM
that have been done that are being done by different companies, the seed companies in India, which gives information regarding the different crops into which different genes for resistance are being incorporated. All this information can be had from this website.
IGMORIS.
It is called
Indian
Indian genetically modified research information system,
Okay.
which is being maintained by the DBT.
Yeah. Recently, Supreme
Court has also recently
appointed a
appointed
committee, technical expert committee,
yeah.
and which includes 5 scientists from different fields, like environmental science,
Molecular
science,
molecular
biologists, and toxicology. And this technical expert committee, it's called for an indefinite moratorium on the field trials of GM crops
in India.
In
India.
So
To fill the gaps actually in the
regulatory system. So till the regulatory system, and the gaps in the regulatory system is fixed, there's a moratorium on the field
trials
in
of the
India.
GMO crops are banned
in India.
in India.
And also BT brinjal, there's a lot of controversy
Regarding the introduction of the BT
brinjal.
cotton, the toxicity of the gene is also being questioned. Is it really being can the humans digest that toxin? Though it's been stated that.
Excuse me, we had a phone. Hello?
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 Yeah.
Hello? Hello?
Please ask.
Please.
Hello,
Hello?
good evening. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Come. Tell ma.
My name is Pratibha.
Okay. Tell Pratibha. Yes, what is your doubt?
What is mean by gene? What is mean by GMA?
GMOs.
GMO.
Genetically modified organisms.
What is mean by GMO?
Genetically modified organisms. Okay?
Okay.
So, recently lot of debate.
Yes, in Bangalore, the introduction of the BT cotton has been highly
Publicized
not
here.
accepted, and they have
It's a
just
lot of debate.
burnt away the
Yes.
field where the BT cotton where the field trials of the BT cotton were being
Carried
done.
out.
So
In Maharashtra also, BT.
yeah, BT cotton. But in spite of that, we have several hectares of BT cotton being cultivated in Punjab, Andhra Pradesh,
Maharashtra, Gujarat and-
Gujarat,
Yeah.
Karnataka, and Haryana also.
Recently, that World Agriculture Forum Congress 2013
Yeah, has
was
opposed
held
to it.
in Hyderabad recently,
Yeah, yeah.
from 4th to
Yes.
7th November.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of protests
Has been towards BT cotton. As I
this,
said,
GM
the
technology.
toxin
They are
protein that is,
questioning the green credentials, their safety
Yeah.
and their profitability.
yeah, we have so many varieties of brinjal. In fact, do we really need
No,
GMO
actually-
of
Actually,
brinjal?
The
And
technology is not to question, but the problem of these GM foods is, as we discussed, the technology requires lot of technical know-how, like very well equipped labs. They require lot of funding, it requires. So naturally the people who are working on this are able to release the varieties also, very few people. So
yeah.
that some
The success
companies,
rate is
the
very low.
companies can take up this activity. So the seed material, as we are purchasing from our farmers, usually they keep the seed material from the crop they have cultivated earlier. So that here it is not possible. They have to buy the seeds from the
From the
companies,
companies, yeah.
and that seed cannot be cultivated again because they carry a sterility gene. The
Terminator
genes,
gene.
yeah, the
Terminator.
Terminator
the seeds
genes.
cannot germinate. So that is the main problem. That
So
means
again-
there will be some monopoly of the companies which
Biotech
can sell that. And as these plants require some herbicides, again we have to buy that
Herbicide.
herbicides from the same company. And
as the
it's becoming a
herbicide
monopoly
yeah,
of a
monopoly.
biotech company.
herbicide resistant varieties are produced by these, released by these companies, and also the herbicide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
because-
farmer, it becomes very expensive for the farmer.
the seed
And
material
now
costs so much.
you were asking about the food security.
Yeah.
Now there's a
Yeah.
big question mark.
Ah.
Can GMO meet the food security?
No,
challenge
like
is a big
it
question
can
that,
it
it's actually
may or
it's a
it can
reverse.
provide food
So
security.
the food
but,
security is going to be in the
percentage-
hands of a few.
yeah.
Hello?
It may question food
Excuse me,
sovereignty.
we had a phone. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Come on, tell me, ma.
What's
Hello.
your
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Pratibha name?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma.
Same
Tell.
well.
What's your name?
Yeah, what's your
What's your doubt?
My name is M. Pragati.
Pragati.
Pragati. Okay.
My name is M. Pragati.
Ma,
Okay.
Pragati, tell.
What is your doubt, Amma?
What is the full form of DNA?
DNA.
Deoxy.
Huh?
Yeah, it is deoxyribonucleic acid.
Which
You
is
got
the, Which
it?
is the genetic material. The genetic material in all the life forms.
You got it, ma?
Microorganisms to higher forms.
Okay.
It gives characters to the organisms.
Okay. She got it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, genetic engineering is a novel technology, but a lot of protests from environmental groups, farmers,
Yeah.
people. So, whether it is a boon or ban, bane, boon or bane.
Needs to be seen.
Yeah. As a technology, definitely it is a boon.
Yeah.
but
We
a
cannot
caution.
reject this totally.
Where to
as
use and how to use, that makes the
discretion
point.
has
Yeah,
to
that
be
discretion should be there.
used. That's the reason. That's the duty of the regulatory authorities
Authorities.
to see that, check the indiscriminate application of this technique.
That results reach the farmers, because it is ultimately farmers should benefit out of this, because
Yeah.
these are being the crops. So if it is going to benefit them, definitely one can support it.
Hello? Excuse me. Phone. Hello.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
My question is, India is opting for BT cotton,
Yeah.
but not BT brinjal.
Yes.
Is that has any adverse effect on food crop? That's why we are not accepting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, naturally cotton we just wear and not going to consume, no, but brinjal
It's
is
a
a vegetable
commercial
and
crop,
we
It's
consume
a vegetable
it.
which we
it.
consume, humans
So
consume.
naturally the resistance will be very quick and spontaneous.
But I'll have to add here that though cotton is not consumed by the human beings, it's being given as fodder.
Yes.
The maize and the cotton and other crops also where the BT has been introduced. It's being used as fodder to the animal, so it might
Yeah,
have an ill effect
indirectly,
on the.
yes.
So that has to be studied.
Yeah.
The effects on the feeding, I mean the cattle,
Yes.
has to be established yet.
Okay, she got it, it seems.
Okay. So,
So, actually, scientists they are claiming that these genetically modified foods are nutritionally
Better.
better,
Yeah.
and they would solve the world's hunger and all these problems.
it has yet to be proved. To be
Ah.
frank, it has yet to be proved. There is no established proof. Even the golden rice that they claim that it has
Better vitamin
enhanced
A,
vitamin A
Mm.
is not been totally proved.
So currently there are 71 crops in India seems being on the trial stage.
It
Yeah,
tests
yeah,
you.
they are
Um,
still
the
under
major
trial.
crops are the
Work is going on in the
soybeans.
labs, academic
laboratory.
labs
It's
are
only up to the laboratory stage.
Because as you told, there is a moratorium.
Well,
It's
ma-
not going to be a field, up to the field trials. So
Yeah.
it's biotechnology is actually at one point considered to be a fantasy. Like
Ah.
we used to hear we
Yes,
can have
yeah,
an
naturally.
antibiotic banana and other things. With
Mm.
this GM foods, we can achieve that. As
Yeah,
but
now
with
seeing
caution.
many
but with
it's not
varieties
only
of
caution.
that fluorescence gene has been incorporated into potato to just to show when the
Yeah.
potato plant needs watering.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
when there are such fancy
Yes,
benefits,
fancy
Yeah.
benefits.
naturally scientists can claim,
Yeah.
and they are overcoming the barriers between intergeneric and not only intergeneric. The divisions are
Yeah,
barriers are also
plant and
being
animal group barrier also we are
also
able to break
yeah.
it. But
So not only from microorganism to an animal to a plant,
Okay.
and from a plant to the
Okay. The subject is very vast.
Yeah.
So due to time constraint will restrict. So GM crops can raise agriculture productivity and thus contribute to better food availability, especially when small farm holders. Nutritionally, enhancement of nutritional characters and also the fortified GM crops, they can reduce the problems of micronutrient malnutrition in a cost effective way. So never before in the history has the food and feed been tested, subjected to such extensive testing
Yes,
before
quality
released
test.
into the
Yeah.
market. So genetic engineering, it is a very young and very young and
potential.
poorly understood technology. So we must proceed with caution to avoid any unintended harm to the human health and environment before using this technology. Thank you.